The NBA season has started, and now we have a look at every single team and a couple game sample size. So today is simple. I'm going to give one takeaway from every team so far. Let's get into it. Let's start off in the Eastern Conference, and we're going to go by my preseason power rankings for these teams in each conference. For the Boston Celtics, they're not at their final form. They're dominant. They had a little shaky game there against Washington, but they pulled through at the end. And again, this is a team that is dominant, and they're not even at full strength because Kristaps will eventually return to the lineup. For the Knicks, they need OG Anunoby's offense. Deuce McBride, I've seen a lot of people say he needs to slide into the starting five. No, keep him on the bench. They don't have that much depth on the bench anyway as far as scoring and just overall playmaking. So unless you're going to be buyers at the deadline, we need a little bit more of OG, right? We need the offense that we saw in Toronto. Give us 15 points a night, not 6 to 8 points a night, right? We need a little bit of more offensive aggression from a guy like OG Anunoby. I feel like it would open up things for the offense going forward. For the Cavs, look, we have newfound confidence in Darius Garland and Evan Mobley. If both of these guys can continue playing like they are and letting Donovan Mitchell have the back seat some nights or even most nights, we're going to be a dangerous team. And I think when it comes to the playoff time, again, that's when if we get in dire situations, then Donovan Mitchell can be Superman, take us over the top and save us in those situations. But the core around Donovan Mitchell has played great this year. We just need to be consistent and we need to get healthy, of course, when Max Strus returns to the lineup. For Philadelphia, look, you're fighting without your top two stars with Paul George and Joel Embiid missing some time. When they get healthy, this is a core that is fighting. They are embracing the city of Philly and they are making every single game competitive. And again, they pulled out a great comeback win against Indy the other night. For Indy, they're good, but are they great? Like last year, they had a Cinderella run, no doubt about it. And hey, if you were here on the channel, I predicted that magical run last year about this time last year. But again, this is a team that is good. They're just not great. They're beating the teams that they should, but when it comes to those competitive teams like New York, like Philly, they're not getting it done. For Milwaukee, they are going to be buyers at the trade deadline. Giannis has been great. Dame has had his moments. Gary Trent has played really, really good. And we said that was going to be the X factor for them this season. But they need some more depth to be a championship contender. And they're going to be buyers at the deadline. For Orlando, you brought in a veteran in KCP. And he was looked at to be, hey, he's going to do exactly what he did in Denver over here, maybe to a lesser degree. But he's been underwhelming. Again, growing pains. He's going to find his rhythm. But when he does, this team can be special. For Miami, you need to find consistency. Look, you have Jimmy Butler. You have Bam Adebayo. Of course, Jimmy started off the season rough, right? And he still is, again, in a rough patch, but he can get it going. He can get back on the right track. And when he does, this team needs to take the regular season seriously and finish as a top 6 seed. For Atlanta, look, Dyson Daniels, I think he's on the trajectory, averaging 3 to 3.5 steals a game to be an all-defensive player. We talked about it this offseason. He's an amazing defensive player, and I was excited out of anybody on this team to see his opportunity increase this year for the Atlanta Hawks. Another thing, Double O is finally going to be the starting center, so shout out to the Hawks for making that obvious decision. For the Detroit Pistons, they're young, they're fun, they're entertaining, but they're inexperienced. And a couple of these games, they've been in control, and they should have won some of these games here early on in the season, but they let it get away from them. And that, of course, is just a factor of inexperience. They're going to pick it up throughout the season, I believe, in JB Bickerstaff. For the Toronto Raptors, Brady Dick ahead of schedule. 18 points a game so far this season. I understand he was a lottery pick. I understand he was looked at to be a secondary creator, but I think just watching him off the eye test, this is a guy that he's very effective, and he's opening up a lot of lanes and a lot of, I guess, scoring opportunities for his team, not just by shooting the basketball, by his movement. I think Brady's ahead of schedule. Again, I know he's a lottery pick, but I'm excited to see his growth throughout the remainder of the season. For Charlotte, LaMelo Ball is back. And when he is back, he's always going to give this team a chance. Now, Trey Mann is bringing back 2000 style. We love to see that. But for LaMelo Ball, him being back just opens up, again, a fun offense for this team. And they're going to be very entertaining on a nightly basis. It's not going to be an easy night playing a team like the Charlotte Hornets like it was last year in years prior when LaMelo Ball was out with injury. For Chicago, LaVine, look, so far this year, he has played really, really good. I think his confidence is back on his side, and this is a guy that if he were to get traded at the deadline, this is the perfect time to trade him because he's going to warrant a first-round pick. The Bulls, it's going to work out for both sides. LaVine goes to a contender to end his playoff drought. And for the Bulls, look, with how great Zach LaVine has played this year, he's going to bring back a first round pick. For the Washington Wizards, you're the worst team in the league. Bub Carrington, shout out to you. Jordan Poole, you had your moments, right? But outside of that, this is a team when you watch them, just bet the over on rebounds of the opposing team every single night because they're going to get their chances at, of course, all the bricks that Washington likes to throw up. For Brooklyn, Cam Thomas, he's going to average 25 points. Not a big Cam Thomas fan, right? But at the end of the day, there's tons of opportunity in this Brooklyn offense. And this is the guy that has already had games over 25 points this season. This is the guy that I think is, with how much volume that he has, especially with the fact that they're gonna trade some of these veterans at the deadline, like DFS, right? Like Cam Johnson, maybe being on the move as well. Ben Simmons could be in the mix as well. Dennis Schroeder. There's gonna the one consistent thing I could see with this team, if I could talk right, is that Cam Thomas is going to get the production, he's going to get the volume, and he's going to average at least 25 this season. In the Western Conference, let's start off with the top dog. It is the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think they have the best defense in the league, and I think they will throughout the remainder of this season. Just Chet Holmgren has been an amazing off-ball defender, like we all know he can be. Of course, they still have, the guys on the perimeter. Mainly, of course, their new addition in Alex Caruso, who I think Alex Caruso is on pace to be an all-NBA first-team defender. But everybody on this team buys in. Again, it's a culture thing, and they have everything to be the best defense in the league, and that's dangerous come playoff time when you have a star player like Shea to take you over the top. For Dallas, Klay is still splashing. I understand it's not to the degree of his championship days, but let me tell you something. To open up the year like this, to have, to capitalize on all the open looks that he does have, this is the guy that is, again, capitalizing on his opportunity. Klay Thompson has been amazing, and he's been the much-needed spacer, something this team didn't have consistently throughout their incredible playoff run last year. He brings this much-needed spacing, leadership, against veteran IQ, and I understand he's not what he once was, but he's enough. But he's enough for this team to make it back to the finals, and of course, this time, to take a leap over that and to win it all. For the Denver Nuggets, I'm going to continue to say this. They are the 2018 Cavaliers reincarnated. You have your star player, Jokic, LeBron. Of course, you have solid pieces around them. Jamal Murray, Kevin Love, right? Michael Porter, J.R. Smith. But outside of that, again, those star players, those secondary guys, they're inconsistent on most nights. But outside of that, there's no bench, there's no depth, and there's not a lot of consistent shooting on a nightly basis. And you're in a situation where when your star player takes a step off the court, your team's down by 20. And then when that star player returns after a very short rest, they're not at 100%. They're not getting the rest that they should be getting on a nightly basis and throughout a game. So again, the Nuggets, I think they need to be buyers at the deadline, get some more shooting, get some more depth, because as of right now, I can see them being no more than a second round exit. For the Phoenix Suns, there's a lot of growing pains at the moment. Sure, they lost the game against the Lakers. They shouldn't have. But again, there's a lot of growing pains with Coach Bud at the moment. They're trying to figure things out. I don't have any worries about this team. I still think, honestly, now they might be a top 4 seed in the Western Conference. My confidence is higher than it was in the preseason. But again, this team needs to finish those games, especially with the star players they have. For Memphis, it's good to see Ja Morant back, but that is not my takeaway so far. I think Santi Aldama might be the X factor for this team going forward. He's the second leading scorer on this team. He's been very efficient from the field, and he's giving them good defensive minutes. Santi Aldama might be the X factor for this team, but another takeaway, I'd like to see them be also buyers. Get some more front court depth here for the second half stretch of the year. For Minnesota, look, the trade looks good at the moment. Julius Randle's been the skilled bully that we all know that Minnesota was getting in that trade. Dante DiVincenzo, much needed spacing like we know that they were getting. I like the trade for Minnesota so far. The fit on paper was a little bit sketchy, but they're figuring things out. And again, Chris Finch is an amazing coach. For the Lakers, hear me out on this one. I think when you look at the entire Lakers franchise at this moment in time, JJ Redick might be the third most valuable piece. Of course, LeBron is at the top because he's LeBron freaking James. Anthony Davis is at 2. JJ, with how he's opened up this offense, giving these players confidence, he might be the third most valuable piece over Jeanie Buss, right? Over Rob Pelinka in this organization. Absolutely crazy. I know it's 3 games, but I'm excited to see what they can do throughout the remainder of the season. For the Sacramento Kings, the rotations are weird. Again, there's growing pains. Mike Brown's trying to figure out what are the best lineups. Who can we leave out there on an island, so to speak, right? Can we rest 2 of these stars and leave DeMar out there? Can we rest 2 of these stars with De'Aaron Fox out there alone? Again, rotations are weird. Mike Brown's figuring it out. For the New Orleans Pelicans, DeJounte's injury, no pun intended, it hurts. It hurts the potential of this team. It hurts for the next month or so of the season. The fact that they could have been a top 4 seed in the West if everything gone right. But at the moment, again, losing a guy like that always hurts. They still have the continuity of the core from last year, and this gives more opportunity for Brandon Ingram to regain his confidence at the highest level that we know it can be as far as his scoring ability. Herb Jones can gain confidence. Trey Murphy. So when DeJounte does return, who knows? This might be a blessing in disguise. But at the end of the day, I think as far as playoff seeding, it definitely hurts. For the Rockets, they're only going to go as far as 1A and 1B. Of course, Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun, both of the guys are doing their job this year. They're getting very good minutes from all the veterans around them. They're only going to go as far as 1A and 1B. For the Golden State Warriors, there's a typo here, but it's Buddy Hield, right? I know he had an off night the other day. Of course, when Steph Curry went to the locker room, that's another takeaway. How severe is Steph Curry's injury? How quick can he return? And when he does return, is this going to be something that lingers throughout the remainder of the season? Of course, we know Steph Curry's history with his ankle injuries, but as of right now, Buddy Hield's been really, really good for them. They're getting good minutes out of Andrew Wiggins, and of course, the rest of the core, of course, has been playing very good at the moment. But Steph Curry, how does he look when he returns from injury? But Buddy Hield at the moment, really good pickup. For the LA Clippers, the wall works, right? I guess that was worth your investment. Look, the wall, if you guys don't know, it's just a big wall. It's one section of the arena that the Clippers do have, but it is filled with only LA Clippers fans. So when opposing teams are shooting free throws, it is very effective. And we've seen guys like Kevin Durant miss multiple free throws. Devin Booker even say, hey, that thing actually works. So the wall was worth your investment. For the Spurs, just like the Charlotte Hornets on the Eastern Conference, this is a team that's never going to be an easy night for some of these contending teams. You can't just rest all your stars against the Spurs and expect an easy win. This is a team that fights with Chris Paul, with Keldon Johnson taking a step. Again, with Julian Champagne becoming a sneaky shooter from the outside. Wembanyama, of course, we know what he does on a nightly basis. Devin Vassell, of course, we're still waiting for him to take that step. And when he returns to the court, of course, more prominently. But when the Spurs, play you, again, it's never going to be an easy night. They're going to fight to the end. And of course, they have maybe the best coach of all time to lead the charge. For the Utah Jazz, Walker Kessler is a one-man unit at the moment. I think he's averaging like 4 blocks a game, as crazy as that sounds. But outside of that, there's not defense around him. And that is, again, why this team is one of the worst defensive player units or teams in the league. But again, Walker Kessler, if he's going to get traded, tremendous pickup for another team. But I don't think he will. He's here with the Jazz. I just think that they need to have some of these younger players step up. For Portland, look, the Jeremy Grant trade for one will bring you back a first-round pick because I think he's going to get traded like Zach LaVine at the mid-season mark. But again, Jeremy Grant has been amazing. He just had like a 30-point game the other night. And on the other hand, another takeaway, Scoot Henderson is shooting like 52% from the field. So Scoot Henderson, as far as 2-pointers, he's been amazing. Threes, well, got to give him time for that. But 52% regardless of his 3-point attempts and makes, he's been very efficient, and you want to see that out of your former number 2 overall pick. Number 3 overall pick, let me clarify, had a couple mistakes here in today's video, but you guys get the overall premise. Top lottery pick for the Portland Trail Blazers. But I wanted to try something new today for you guys. Straight and to the point, kind of like a gas station. But I didn't want to ramble too much. I didn't want to dance around the subject as much as I typically do here on this channel. I wanted to get to the point. So hopefully this was a pleasant surprise for some of you at home. But if you enjoyed today's video, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Of course, turn those post notifications on. As we continue to grow, we are this close to 18,000, and we can't get there without you.